Hi, this is Mrs. Clark, and today we're going to do multi-digit addition. If you are in my class, depending on your cohort, you might just be watching this video today and then you'll come to class tomorrow and you'll do a bunch of these. Or maybe we already talked about it in class and I sent you home with some papers to try. So just make sure you check on your Google slideshow to see what instructions you had. So let's get started. We have 3 strategies we're going to use to add, and I want you to try all 3 so that you can get a lot of practice with the concept behind multi-digit addition. One strategy is to picture it using base 10 blocks. Another strategy is partial sums, where you split each number into expanded form and then you add the hundreds, the tens, and the ones. And then here's the standard algorithm. If I have any parents or adults watching, this is probably how you learned addition, and it is pretty quick to do it this way, but I want to make sure that students are practicing these so that they understand the conceptual meaning behind, for example, carrying and regrouping. So let's go ahead and get started. First, I want to call your attention to this part up here that says digits. So we have 9 digits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. When you put the digits together, they form numbers. So 130 is a number that has 3 digits. It has a 1, a 3, and a 0. This is important because when you're adding today, if you get something that's more than 9, you have to regroup. For example, if you end up with 15 ones, well, 15 isn't a digit, it's a number. So then you have to group those ones and slide them over into the tens. And I'll show you what I mean, okay? So first, let's do the picture it strategy. I'm going to be using a marker so that you can see it, but if you are in my class, I would like you to use pencil so that you can erase if you need to. All right, 130 plus 280. I already drew it here for you in base 10 blocks, so 100 and 3 tens, 200s and 8 tens. There are no ones because there's a 0 in the ones place, and there are no ones because there's a 0 in the ones place. What we are going to do is add, starting with the furthest to the right, or the smallest place value. So the smallest place is the zeros, or the ones place, and there's nothing there, so we don't have any ones. Now let's do the tens, the 3 tens, which is 30, and 8 tens, which is 80. So all I'm going to do is draw my total amount of tens. When you are drawing, I do not want it to be super detailed or pretty, because this shouldn't take forever. But it should be neat so that you can see what you've got going on here. So when I draw my tens, I'm just going to draw a straight line to represent the tens rod. So how many tens do I have? 1, 2, 3 plus 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'll put them here. Awesome. Super easy. Now I'm going to add my hundreds, and I'm just going to draw a square to represent the hundreds flat. So I have 1, 2, 3, adding them up. Great. Now I would put the answer down here in picture form, but I do have to regroup, and I'll show you why. I have 300 here. All right, so I could write 300 but then I have 11 tens, and that's not really a digit. I can't say 311 because that's not what this is. 11 tens is actually 10 skip counted 11 times. So let me get some base 10 blocks on here for you, and I'll zoom out so you can see better. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this is what I have. I have 11 tens, and I have 300s. Okay? So you might be tempted to say, oh, the answer is 311, but that's not 11. If you actually counted all of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh my goodness, that would take forever. Each one of these is 10. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110. 110 plus 300. Well, so what you need to do is if you have more than 9, because 9 is the biggest digit, if you have more than 9 of these, you actually have to regroup them and move them into the hundreds. So 10 of these is actually going to make 100. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'll show you, it's exactly the same size. So it gets an upgrade, it turns into a flat. You see that? There's 100 cubes here. Let's see if I can set it right on top. Look at that. So I need to take 10 of these and turn it into 100. So let's just swap that. Whoop! And there we go. Now we have 400s. Don't forget about this guy that got left behind. There's only 1, so he stays in the tens column. You only switch it over when there's enough to form a full 100. Here's what that looks like with your drawing. If you have 10, you're going to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then pretend like you're grouping them together like I did with those green rods. And you convert them or upgrade them into another 100. And then you cross them off because they're not here anymore. They moved. And now you've got this guy here. Okay, now we did our regrouping. And we can draw our sum. So we have 1, 2, 3, 400. And 110. There it is. That's the answer. Now I want you to write it in number form. 410. Just like that. And that's how you add using base 10 blocks. Okay, now we're going to do partial sums. So with partial sums, you're going to take each number and put it into expanded form, and then you'll add the ones, add the tens, and you'll add the hundreds. So 130 in expanded form, well, in the ones place, that's what that O is for, we have 0. And in the tens place, we have a 3, so that's 3 tens, like this, which is actually 30, 10, 20, 30. And then we have 100. And then the bottom number is 280, or the second number. And for 280, we have a 0 in the ones place, an 8 in the tens place, so it's worth 80, and a 2 in the hundreds, so it's worth 200. Now we're going to add and see how many ones we have, how many tens we have, and how many hundreds we have. There's 0 in the tens. 30 plus 80. So here's our 30 plus 2, 3, 4, 5, 80. We have 11 tens. Just like before, 11 tens does not make 11. 11 tens makes 110. Because if you were to count up these 11 tens, you would do 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110. That's what this is actually worth. 30 plus 80 is 110. Okay, 100 plus 200 is 300. Now all you're going to do is add this together and put your answer. So we have 300 plus 110. So 300 plus another 100 would get you to 400 plus 10. So the answer is 410. That's how you use partial sums. Last but not least, we're going to do the standard algorithm. With the standard algorithm, you need to make sure that it's lined up correctly, everything's straight. So your ones are stacked up on top of each other, your tens are stacked up on top of each other, and your hundreds are stacked up. You're going to start at the right with your smallest place. And the ones place is always your smallest place. 0 plus 0 is 0. 3 plus 8 is 11. Now, I want to put an 11 there, but I can't because 11 is not a digit. The digits stop at 9. If you have more than 9, you have to regroup. That's like when we had 11 of these before, we had to turn some of them into 100 and leave the one behind. Well, here's what that looks like. You have your number 11. 10 of those turn into 100 and they go over here and you say, yay, one more 100. And then the one that stays behind goes here. You had 110 left over. Now you're going to add this in because that was when you changed it into this. This is part of it now. You ended up with 4 of them instead of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 400. So with this problem, we're going to be doing more regrouping, which means you have more than 10 of something and you need to regroup it and turn it into the next place value up. So taking 10 tens and turning it into 100, for example, or taking 10 ones and turning it into a 10. So if you end up with more than 9 in a place, so more than 9 ones or more than 9 tens, then you need to take them and upgrade them and turn them into the next one up. Okay? So let's go ahead and get started. 349 plus 573. I'm going to use a marker so you can see it, but I want you, if you're in my class, to use a pencil in case you need to erase anything. Please, please, please put your name on it. All right, let's get started. So the first strategy, and my favorite, is picture it. So I've represented 349 in base 10 blocks. We have 300s, 4 10s, which is 40, and 9 ones, which is 9, plus 573. 500s, 7 10s, and 3 ones. And we're going to add them together. We always want to start to the right, start with those ones, or the least valuable place, okay? So let's add up our ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Awesome. We have 12 ones. Okay. Now let's count up our tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 tens. Finally, we'll count up our hundreds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 hundreds. I know there aren't any 1,000 blocks on here, but I put this here in case you get so many hundreds that you have to regroup. So that's why that's there. Okay, so now we're going to draw this. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't have to be beautiful, but I do want you to draw it so you can have a visual. So 12 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then 11 tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then we have 8 hundreds, which I just draw like squares. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, now we need to regroup because there are a couple cases here where we have more than 9. And if you have more than 9, you got to 10, you made a full set and you need to transfer it or upgrade it over to the next place value. Let's start here with the ones. You always want to start on the right. I have 12 ones. Well, that's too many because 10 of them is going to make a 10 and then I'll have some left over. But let's take a look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 11, 12. Okay, I can't put 12 as my answer because 12 is not a digit. So I need to turn some of these into a 10. So 10 ones make a 10, just like 10 pennies make a dime. So what we're going to do is take 10 of them, keep these guys, take these 10, you're going to upgrade them, whoop, and turn them into a 10. So they don't disappear, but they regroup and they become another 10, which means you have one more of these. You took 10 away from here and put them there. So cross off 10 of them, keep 2, because we had 12. Cross off 10, and now you have an extra 1 there. Okay, so now let's do the 10s. Keep those 2. So you had 11 10s, but we just transferred some yellows over. So now we have 12 10s, and that's too many. You cannot have more than 9. Once you have 10, you have to transfer them over or regroup them. 3, 6, 9, 12. Here we go. So we need to turn these into hundreds, or turn 10 of them into 100 and regroup them to the next place up, which is the hundreds column. So just to show you what that looks like, we have 12 here, and 10 of them make 100. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to regroup them or upgrade them, and shoop, they have turned into 100. So on here, here's what that looks like. Take 10 of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, these ones, and turn them into 100. And we still have 2 10s left over. Now let's do our hundreds. If we have less than 10, then we won't have to regroup. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There you go. And that's our answer. 922. So I'm going to draw that here, and then I'll write it in written form. 900 20, 2 10s, 2 1s. And then here you should write it in number form. 922. Now we're going to do the same problem in partial sums. To do this, step 1 is to take the number on top, or the first number, 349, and split it into expanded form, which is where we take the number and we expand it out and write what each digit is actually worth. For example, the 3 is in the hundreds column, so it's actually worth 300. The 4 is actually worth 40 because that's 4 10s. And the 9 is worth 9 because it's 9 ones. So that's the first number, 349, in expanded form. The second number is 573, and we'll write that in expanded form also. 73. Now we're going to add up how many ones we have, just like we did here, how many tens we have, and how many hundreds we have. Oops, I'm sorry, I made a mistake here, didn't I? The 5 is worth 500. Okay. So how many ones do we have? Well, we have 3 ones plus 9 ones, which is 12. And you can just write that here. You have 12 ones. All right. How many tens do we have? We have 40 plus 70. So 40 plus 70 would give you a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 40. plus 70. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110. That's what that looks like. 40 plus 70. It's 11 tens, but each 10 is worth 10. So it's like skip counting by tens 11 times. So you get 110. And then we'll add up our hundreds. So we have 300s plus 500s, which get us to 800. So we have 8 hundreds, which is worth 800. We have 11 tens, which is worth 110. And we have 12 ones, which is worth 12. Now you're going to add this together and put your answer here. So we're just going to do this in our head. So 800 plus 110. Well, 800 plus 100 is 900, so we're at 900. Plus another 10, so we're at 910. Plus another 10, 920, plus 2, 922. And that's how you do partial sums. Last, we're going to do the standard algorithm. 9 plus 3 is 12. So I'm going to put that 12 over here for the time being because 12 is too many, right? We saw that up here. It's too many. So you need to keep the 2 and carry the 1. And when I say carry, that's when we regroup. That's when we took 10 of those yellow blocks and turned them into one of these. So it's going to switch columns. It's coming over the 10s. Just like here, it came over to the 10s. All right, so the 2 is going to stay, and the 1 comes up here. That was us turning the yellow blocks into a rod. Now, remember, now we have another green, or another 10, so we have to add that in. 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 7 is 12. Oh my goodness, we got a 12 again. 12 is not a digit. It's bigger than 10, which means you have to take 10 of those and turn it into 100. That's when we took 10 of these green things and we turned them into 100. So we're going to, see that 12? Well, you can put the 2 down because there were 2 left over. And then the 1 goes into the hundreds column because we made a new hundreds when we regrouped. Then finally, you're going to add 1 plus 3, which is 4, plus 5, which is 9, to get 922. So that's how you do the multi-digit addition with a little more challenging questions. At the end, I'd like you to rate how you feel about this skill. So not if you like it or not, but how do you feel about it? Is it something that you know pretty well, like you feel like you could teach someone else how to do it? Are you kind of starting to get it, but you would want more help with it? Or do you feel lost and you're wanting more help? Okay? And if so, that's completely normal. That's absolutely normal. We practice things a lot of times before we really understand them. And if you circle that you want more help, that's actually really great for me because then I know when I see you next that I can really help you so that you can feel more confident with this skill.